But now we turn to the news that NHS spends almost £4 million a year on religion. The news came after a Freedom of Information request by the Herald newspaper. The money is made up of internal costs, including full-time chaplains who minister to anyone in need, patients and staff, and £200,000 a year to external bodies, the vast bulk of which goes to the Roman Catholic Church for sacraments such as performing the last rites. The secular society has now called for payments to external churches to be scrapped and the internal spend to be re-examined urgently. Do you think chaplaincy services should be funded by the NHS? 5 of Scotland's 14 health boards pay nothing towards these services, so are there better things to do with the money? Have you seen a minister in hospital and have they been a comfort to you? Call us on 0500 92 95 00 or text us on 80295. Spencer Fildes of the Scottish Secular Society, you want an end to this external money, but you know what happens? Some people, Roman Catholics, wish the last rites.
Yeah, and can I just say that the Scottish Secular Society actually affirm those rights, and we commend anyone that actually provides those rights. They're important to adherents of those particular faiths. But the main issue that we have with this matter is it's not so much about the provision of the service or access to the service, it's about who's actually filling in the cheque for the provision of these services. And we don't believe that, the receipt of this should actually sit with the broader taxpayer.
Well, let me put that to Hugh McLaughlin, who's a contributor of the Catholic Observer. Why doesn't the Roman Catholic Church pay for priests to go into hospital to minister the sacraments?
Well, they do. There's two separate things happen. First of all, each hospital has its provided chaplain. But over and above that, if I go into hospital today and I need to see a priest, my family will phone my parish priest and my parish priest will come to the hospital to see me. And that will not cost the hospital board one penny.
But in fact, we do know that £200,000 a year has been paid to the Roman Catholic Church to bring in priests.
Yes.
So that doesn't happen everywhere.
Well, in certain areas it isn't required, but for example, in Lanarkshire, in Glasgow and so on, it is. And what happens is that, for example, Glasgow Royal Infirmary have a team of chaplains on call. They include Catholic priests, Presbyterian ministers, whatever. And each have so many hours that they do so many days per week.
But should this be paid for by the NHS? Because...
it's not being paid for by the NHS. It's being paid for by the taxpayer. And the Catholic people and the people of other religious faiths are taxpayers.
Yeah, the spending on spiritual care does now follow updated guidance issued to health boards by the Scottish Government in 2009, which says that the NHS, rather than churches, had responsibility for providing a spiritual care service.
Yep.
But apparently... the idea is that while NHS spiritual care employees are expected to deliver and facilitate spiritual and religious care as appropriate, faith-specific chaplains are not generally direct NHS employees.
No, they are not. They can't be.
Right, well, let's take some text on this. You don't need to be religious, says this anonymous texter, to get the benefit of a hospital chaplain. Often the chaplain is the only person with time to listen to patients' fears and concerns. They offer a prayer usually, but the patient can refuse this if they want. Hospital chaplains are essential. Patricia, now a text from Patricia. I think it should be up to their own priest, minister or so forth to visit. After all, they get paid by their parishioners through the plate and monthly collections. The NHS needs every penny to pay its managers, staff and also to buy drugs. Call now from Leslie calling in from Fort Augustus. Good morning, Leslie.
Good morning.
Do you think that chaplains should be paid partly by the NHS?
Well, as your last caller was pointing out, it's the taxpayer who is paying.
And do you think as a taxpayer you should be paying?
Yes, indeed, I do. We do live in an age of rather aggressive secularism, and I have to say it is aggressive. Most of us do believe in God, or at least our families do, and I think it is absolutely essential that when we are about to meet God, or when members of our family are dying, to have the help of chaplains in the hospital.
Thank you very much for that. Now, Spencer Fildes, you're not saying that shouldn't be available as part of the secular society, but what you are saying is there should be no public taxpayers' money involved.
Yeah, absolutely. The provision and access to medicines and specialist healthcare professionals, doctors, GPs, practice nurses, consultants is equal across the board. Everyone has fair and right access. But what happens with chaplaincy services and indeed reimbursed costs at £200,000 per annum to the Roman Catholic Church is that is a bolt-on. So therefore, because it's a bolt-on to a level playing field or a level standard of care, it becomes unequal. I mean, the Roman Catholic Church actually said themselves, their spokesman to the Herald said that full-time salaried spiritual care coordinators paid for by the NHS are paid for by the NHS, even though they cannot offer spiritual care to all patients.
Now, well, let me just get that absolutely. I mean, if it's in the Herald, we hope it's true, but I just want to get that to Hugh McLaughlin, that actually Roman Catholic priests are not allowed to go and minister to other patients that are not Roman Catholic.
That's nonsense. That's absolute nonsense. Any Catholic priest going into any hospital ward in any hospital anywhere in Scotland, if asked to, will speak to any patient's family, any member of staff. They don't simply go in to care for the Catholic patients.
Spencer Fildes.
Yeah, I mean, if that is the case, and that happens across Scotland, then we admire that. We think that's an excellent service to provide. You're not just taking into account the adherence of your own faith, but the issue we have here, is not the performance of this sacred rite to your followers. It's the very fact that there is a large cost incurred.
There is not a large cost incurred. That is absolute nonsense.
It is a large cost. Well, can I put
nonsense.
Hugh, can I put this back to you then? If expenses were no longer paid, in the last 3 years it's been £500,000 to the Roman Catholic Church. Now, if that funding was withdrawn by the NHS, would you continue to provide the service?
The Catholic priests, the vast majority of the services that are provided by Catholic priests to patients in hospital have nothing whatsoever to do with that money.
But what happens now? What is that money?
Hospital-appointed chaplains.
No, the point is that according to the figures, £2,000 a year, 85% of the extra money for external services does go to the Roman Catholic Church. So what is it going for?
Because there is this thing known as holistic care. The National Circular Society seems to want to rewrite what is meant by this question of holistic care. The board is spending that money because it is a good for the patient concerned.
Well, let me just take a text now from Margaret from Ayr. My husband was in the Southern General, 40 miles from home, so the parish minister could not visit regularly. He was in intensive care for 29 days, and the chaplaincy service was a great support, led by Blair Robert Don. A call now from Ron. Ron, can I take your point, please?
Hello there.
Hello, good morning. Do you think that we as taxpayers should pay for religious services within the NHS?
Well, we do. I mean, these chaplains in hospitals are generic, applying their pastoral care to all faiths and none. Now, the difference between the vast majority and the Catholic Church situation is that the Catholic Church refused to take part in generic chaplaincy.
Well, wait, we're going to have to get this. I mean, you know that Hugh McLaughlin has just said that's not true, so what is your proof for that?
Well, no, the Catholic priests are specifically Catholic-based and oriented.
That's nonsense.
Well, we'll certainly find that out if we can actually have a representative of the NHS to call us on that. But you are a humanist, Ron, and tell me, what is your view of the kind of care that is offered, the pastoral care that people have when they are often sick, and the relatives of those who are sick in hospital?
Well, the whole question of chaplaincy is what used to be called almoners in hospitals. Mm-hmm. And that's where almoners were really social workers. And chaplains, in fact, do that job now. And they are champions of equality and diversity. And they apply their care in hospices and so on. Now, in Tayside, where I live, I am a humanist representative who are called on by chaplains to come in and speak to somebody who specifically asks for that mindset to be applied to their condition. And
do you find that the care that you give is something that people feel at this particular time in their lives is crucial to their well-being?
Of course it is.
So, Spencer Fildes, does the secular society also provide, and this obviously you're humanist, does the secular society also provide, as it were, almoners?
No, not at the moment, no. But we wholly support the services provision by organisations such as the Humanist Society. You know, we support the provision of this pastoral care from anyone that is willing to offer patients that. And that's the point that some of the callers are actually missing about secularism. It's not a form of aggressive secularism. What we're seeking is fairness, parity and equality across the board. And at the moment, that certainly doesn't happen with taxpayers' money. There's certain groups are afforded more of that than others. And we think that some of the expenses it's just unjustifiable. And if humanists can do it for nothing, if Buddhists and the Church of Scotland have a particularly low costs in offering the service, then why can't the Roman Catholic Church follow suit?
Well, we'd love to hear your views on whether the NHS should be spending taxpayers' money on both internal and external chaplaincy services. Call us on 0500 92 95 00. Text us on 80295 or indeed email us at morningcall@bbc.co.uk. We have a call now from Adam in Cumbernauld. Good morning, Adam.
Good morning.
Tell me, where do you stand on this?
This is the first I've actually heard of this, and I'm actually a minister of the church myself, and I think it's
Which
terrible.
church?
It's the Church of Christ, and it's a non-denominational church in Cumbernauld. And obviously we offer pastoral care for any situation. And to me, it should just be part of, to be honest, any human being's compassionate responsibility and duty to offer that kind of comfort. But specialised care from a minister, which the word actually means servant anyway, to be paid for that on a part-time or full-time basis. I was shocked to hear it, to be honest. I would be embarrassed to accept money for offering that type of care.
But you have been called upon to deliver pastoral care.
Of course, yeah.
And at no time did anybody say, there is the form for you to fill out to get paid for this or anything like that.
No, nothing like that.
That's interesting, and that is to all denominations, whether it's Muslim, Jewish, Christian, Buddhist. You would go anywhere.
Anybody who wanted to talk about. Whether it was their final moments or even just a struggle because they were going through an illness, anyone who wants to talk about anything and receive some comfort, I would talk to them even as a friend, let alone a minister. But as a minister, certainly, I would go to anybody of any denomination.
Hugh McLaughlin, what do you say to Adam, who is a minister in the Church of Christ, that he would be ashamed to take money?
First of all, when you use the term being paid to provide these services, that isn't quite accurate. What is being covered is more or less simply their costs, their petrol costs, travel costs, etc. It isn't as if these people are getting put onto a salary. In the National Health Service, staff costs something in the region of about £5.8 billion per year. So if you're talking over a period of 3 years, providing somewhere just under £600,000, I mean, you're not talking a great deal of money.
Let me take some text now. From H, I'm amazed that chaplains are paid, as I was always under the impression they were volunteers, just like tea ladies and book people on hospital radio. An anonymous text, so spread 4 million over NHS Scotland. What will that buy per hospital? A box of plasters. And another one from Shona in Inverness. A place for reflection and quiet is essential in hospital. But why do we have to pay any particular religion for this? And when not everyone will benefit from it as well. The Catholic Church must be one of the richest institutions in the world. They do nothing for nothing? A call now from Davy in Edinburgh. Good morning, Davy.
Morning, Kirsty. How are you? I
am very well. Have you ever used pastoral services?
No, I'm not a religious person myself. I don't believe in God or such like, but there's people that do, and if there's something there that can comfort people in a time of need, then and what they feel is need, then all well and good. There's quite a few things in the NHS we could do without. If we're going to stop spending money on that, why not just stop spending money on translations for foreign patients? Why not then bring their own translator at their own cost? To me, it's a cost. If it helps people, it helps people.
So you're more interested in the wider good. And it's not about yourself; it's about other people.
It's not about myself. It's about what people. And as regards the Catholic Church, there seems to be a bit of Catholic bashing. I'm not a Catholic, as I say. I'm not religious myself. I know for a fact that the chapel, it's not a chapel in Royal Infirmary of Edinburgh. It doesn't say Roman Catholic Chapel. It doesn't say Protestant Church. It doesn't say mosque. It just says chapel. Anybody can go in.
Spencer Files, that there is Davy who's saying he's not religious, but he doesn't mind the fact that taxpayers' money goes to help people who are.
No, and he's perfectly entitled to his point of view. If I could just sort of put this into what I find on a day-to-day basis in my day job. Now, I am actually a service provider to the NHS myself. And, you know, I speak on a day-to-day basis with medicines managers across Scotland and across the north of England. And the first thing that is discussed across the table with everyone that is involved in these processes is cost. Cost avoidance, cost effectiveness. Any cost of any new medicine that goes through the Scottish Medicines Consortium has to provide an absolute mountain of evidence to prove that there is efficacy, it will be efficacious and will be value for money for the NHS. Now, a great example is the rationalisation recently from government on insulin pumps for type 1 diabetes. Now, one of your texts said, what would £4 million buy for the NHS? Some plasters. Well, actually, no, that would buy 800 much-needed insulin pumps for patients with volatile hypoglycemia. And I'm pretty sure they would welcome that level of investment rather than it go to chaplaincy or out-of-hours fuel costs for the Roman Catholic Church.